Hi, I'm Alan Hedblum. Welcome to our show, a place to feel like you belong. During our conversation, you'll notice words and phrases appearing at the bottom of the screen. After our dialogue, stay tuned for a follow-up segment called What'd You Say?, where we will explain some of the difficult slang and cultural concepts that you heard. A complete list will be given on our website for the conversation with today's date. For now, let's welcome today's guests. I'd like to welcome to our studio today 3 bright international students who are getting their college education here in the United States. Nargilya is from the Central Asian nation of Turkmenistan. Paola is from the Southern European nation of Italy. And Danilo is from the Middle African nation of Cameroon. Nargilya, Paola, and Danilo, welcome to Feel Like You Belong.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You bet, you bet. So each of your countries have universities, but you said, no, I'm going to go study thousands of miles away. Why did you do that? Whoever wants to start.
I'll take a shot. In my country, as you say, we have a bunch of universities, but I wanted to study landscape architecture. That was where my passion was. I grew up on a farm, and when I moved to the capital city, I was working at the U.S. Embassy, taking care of the landscape, and I fell in love with that. But we do not have landscape architecture as a major, in any of the public and private universities. So I had to go abroad, and according to internet, the United States was the best country where I could get a great, experience in that field.
Okay.
And I decided to come to the U.S.
So the University of Arkansas is an agricultural school?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a big department for agriculture and architecture. So I belong to both schools, and that's one of the reasons why I chose actually that university.
Okay. Okay. And they have less snow there.
Yes, the weather
than
is
Michigan
awesome.
State University,
yeah.
for example, which is also another fine agriculture.
If I had a chance to go, to go to another school, I would rather go southern, because of the cool weather.
Totally understood. Yeah. Yeah. Paula, what about you?
Well, my story is kind of interesting because I started traveling when I was 6 years old with my mother, but I didn't really understand how much I love languages until I started studying political science and international relations in Rome. But then when I graduated from there, I felt that I didn't really want to keep studying that. I didn't want to be a politician or a diplomatic. What I like were languages. And therefore, I started another degree in international communication. And there I was studying English and Spanish. And my question was like, what am I studying English and Spanish for in Italy? Since, we only speak Italian. And it just happened that my scholarship started a partnership with the University of Arkansas Little Rock. And so they issued a scholarship, which I applied for and I won. And so I moved to Little Rock and started being an exchange student there. And then I just loved the American school system, how meritocratic it is. So I decided to stay and to graduate from there in Spanish. I took an exam, I passed it, I got a scholarship, and so I got my degree. And then while I was studying there in my undergrad, I asked myself, is there any point for me to go back to Italy after this experience? And the answer that I gave myself also after talking to my parents, to my friends, was no. And so I decided to continue my grad studies till in Little Rock, where I applied and started attending the Clinton School of Public Service. And now I'm about to complete my second semester, and at least till now I really don't have any intention of going back to Italy. So.
And we should also mention that during this time at the Clinton School, you have met former President Clinton 3 times.
Yes. Yeah. He,
That's
More than most American students or international
Yeah.
students have the chance to do.
yes, and he's great. He's really a great man. I don't know him as a president, but I can tell the man that I met is a really great man.
Awesome, awesome. Nargilya, what about you?
I was actually an exchange student in high school, and I was 16 when I first came to America. So after I graduated from my Frankfurt High School, you know, here in
So
Michigan,
show people the Michigan map and where that is.
right?
Okay. No, it's actually it's the palm of your right hand.
Well,
It's
right.
it's the
but
back
I
of your
always-
left hand.
Right, but I always feel awkward
Oh.
whenever I put up my right hand, just because it's almost like I give an oath. So
Oh.
I always flip.
Okay,
you know.
and that's perfectly acceptable.
yeah, so I always flip my.
Have you two seen this before?
I never heard that before. That's
Really?
pretty cool.
It's-
That's pretty cool.
My friends make fun of me for this, but I always do this. So I went to high school here in Frankfurt, Michigan, right on, you know, Lake Michigan. And then I went to community college, actually, in Traverse City, Michigan, and that would be, you know, in Grand Traverse Bay right here. Michigan literally looks like, you know, the palm of your hand.
Or
Either
we
right
say
here.
a mitten.
Right, true, true. And then, of course, this is the lower, you know, peninsula, and the upper peninsula. Yeah,
Looks like-
it's
yeah,
trickier.
it's sort
yeah,
of like
kind
that,
of
you're
like
right,
that.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
Yeah,
interesting.
so we are here.
Somewhere there.
Yeah,
okay.
in Grand Rapids, yep.
Like
So
right now.
Michiganders are probably the only people in the nation carrying around with them a map.
A map.
True.
Probably from the whole world.
And actually, if you meet other students from Michigan State University this weekend, University of Michigan, they will be shifting around the mitten, showing
Where they are.
where they're from. Yeah. So anyway, I interrupted you.
No. So yeah, I was an exchange student in Frankfurt High School, and I really liked the area, the water, and I decided to come back because I wanted to have that, you know, the college experience, the study abroad experience. So, and I figured if I'm going to do, you know, a lot of traveling, if I'm going to be exploring the world, I should do this when I'm young and adventurous.
And we should tell people that you're studying.
Nursing, yep,
Okay.
and I'm graduating in April, finally.
One
Congrats-
and a half
congratulations.
months,
Thank
so-
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very
Awesome.
excited.
Yeah, you betcha, you betcha. So the reason that the two of you are up this far north, all the way from Arkansas, is because there's a conference, a 3-day conference this weekend, starting this evening, all day
Tonight.
tomorrow, and then half of Sunday. And the organization is called AISO,
Yeah.
and we have one of the founders with us. So Danilo, tell us a little bit about AISO and what you're trying to accomplish. This is your second annual conference.
Yeah, this is the second annual conference, and at my school, like any other university, we have some local organization for international students. So in 2012, I was elected, you know, as the ISO president, our local organization for
And
international
ISO stands
students.
for?
International Student Organization. So I was elected for the year 2012, 2013 as the president. So that summer, you know, I was sitting in my room and I was trying to plan ahead, you know, for the year. And I realized that, you know, I just don't want to copy paste, you know, the events that had been put, you know, over years, because that's what was done, you know. So I decided to step out of the box and try to find out what is happening on the other campuses in Little Rock, you know, in Michigan. And I asked myself, where should I go, you know? Do we have an organization for international students? How can I connect with, you know, those friends? And I went on internet, Google, you know, and I didn't find anything. So from there came a thought that, you know, Danilo, why don't you try something? Why don't you connect those international students? And as you probably know, you know, the immigration debate is going on. International students, you know, are fighting every year for working visa and so on. So I was like, why don't we all come together and see how we can advocate, you know, how we can connect, how we can learn from each other. And I said, I'm going to take a shot. So I decided to, it took me about 4 days, you know, I locked myself in my apartment over the summer. And I was going from state by state. And I decided to choose all the different universities with over 10,000 students, assuming that they have a nice international student representation, you know. So from their website, I tried to pull out email address of the directors of international office, international student as well. And I just sent out a massive email, hey
All
guys.
by yourself?
Yeah. Hey guys, what do you think about connecting our organization? I want to know what you guys are doing on your campus. I want to see how we could come together, as one body, as one ISO. That's why came the name AISO, Association of all the ISOs. And actually, I was surprised by the response of the directors, some of our advisors. They told me that they thought an organization similar was existing already. And I told them I'm not aware of it. If there is one, direct me to them. I want to talk to them. So we then realized that, something needs to be done. And we called for the first conference down in Arkansas at my university. Yes.
Go Razorbacks.
Yeah, go Razorbacks. So for the first conference, we had about 100 students from 40 universities, 20 different states. And it was pretty successful. And, all together we decided that let's, come together, let's work hard to keep this organization going on. And let's try to see if we can maintain, this conference on a yearly basis.
The first conference had, I believe, 75 approximately attendees?
Actually close to 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this year, closer to 200?
200, yeah.
Okay, so you're building
I'm
something
really expressed,
so
I need to talk to the local student here and for them to give me their recipe. I'm really impressed on, all what they have accomplished, to put up this second conference.
That's why it's why we network.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. Yeah.
That's actually a good word, That's one of the words, I hold pretty tight in my heart, network. That's what I didn't know before I came to the US, and I realized how important, networking is.
Well, and one of the speakers tomorrow at the conference will be talking about networking. Another one of the speakers is a statewide representative from Michigan, from the GTRI, the Global Talent Retention Initiative. And they're looking at how do we keep, if we've got really talented, energetic, smart people from every occupation, from every interest. If we educate them here, if they've enjoyed being here for 4, 6, 8 years, and they like it, they know the system, why don't we use our, especially from a state university, our taxpayer dollars who educated them, bring them here so they stay here. So, I hope you attend that presentation tomorrow at GTRI as a great speaker.
They actually had a conference earlier this semester in January, and that was the one that I attended.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
Good.
Yeah.
What was that conference about?
It's a new initiative. I believe it's a new initiative here in Michigan. We were told that it's the first organization out here in the nation that specifically looks into, the force of international students, so to speak, and how we can use that to build, job careers or any employment opportunities or anything like that.
Oh, in the state of Michigan.
Right, like,
Okay.
yes, yeah. But they were planning to expand that, all over the nation, so.
That's pretty
We
good.
should network that and bring
So, people from every country have limited spheres of knowledge and understanding, and certainly you discovered when you came here that a lot of Americans had precious little knowledge about your home country.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What are some maybe a minute from each of you? What are some misconceptions about your homeland, your home culture that you would like to correct in front of our audience? And Nargilya, maybe you could go first.
Sure. Off the top of my head, let's see. Turkmenistan is a desert, so whenever I introduce my friends to my home country, they always, have this, especially here in Michigan, of course, they always have these surprised looks. Oh my goodness, it's a desert. It must be really, really hot and, absolutely unbearable in summertime. And I always try to explain that it's not as bad as it sounds like, because really what happens is that we have dry heat. So in summertime, even if it goes, up to 110, I think that's, the alternative in Fahrenheit. Of course, 110, 115, it's dry heat. So it doesn't, you might, know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it doesn't
hot,
feel hot, And then, of course, when you have high humidity, something that is very, very relevant for us here in Michigan, just because of all the water that we're surrounded by, that gets really, really tough. And then, so another misconception would be that we have no snow. And people are always surprised to hear that we actually have snow every winter. A lot of times the snow will melt as it, descends. Yeah, and won't really stick to the ground, but we'll have like a few days when we have a few, I mean, a few centimeters, so 1 or 2 inches of snow. How about that?
Okay, good, thanks, Paola.
Well,
We don't have enough time for all the misconceptions because there are a lot.
okay, well, a lot of people think that, and this is an argument, I mean, a subject really precious to me because that's what I'm going to do this summer. Mafia is a thing. It's not what's represented in The Godfather. And I hate so much when my friends are trying to be nice, making mafia jokes at me, and I just want to like grab the closest thing to me and like throw it at them. And
It's a kind of unfair stereotype.
yeah, it's like as if I were mocking, I don't know, something that is really sensitive here in the US, like, I don't know, a war or
Sure.
an episode of racism, I don't know. It just, so yeah, that's like, I think it's the thing that bothers me the most, and it's the stereotype that I'm trying the hardest to break.
Okay, okay, great.
There's a general conception that people have about my country and Africa in general. One of the questions I usually get, is, do I live with lions? How many lions have I killed?
The answer is maybe 0.
Zero, like 0, 0, 0. So that's one of the questions I receive from people. Another question is that, I met this lady once in, at my church. And the first question she asked me is, where did I get the cloth, the cloth I have on me? They gave it, did they give it to me at the airport, or where do I get that, I was like, I didn't even know how to react, But personally, when I get those questions, I don't really get upset, That's an opportunity for me to share with them about, my country.
Do you get tired of educating?
No, I don't get tired. I don't get tired. And this is why, because I've noticed that, that's what they get taught, from TV, from documentaries online, I have sitting myself, in front of a TV, and that's all they show about Africa,
Yeah.
That's not Africa anymore. Africa is beautiful, we live in houses like anywhere else in the world, wild animal, like here, they live in the bush, in the forest, And when humans try to approach them, they run away. That's how things are back there. Same thing as here. So initially, I was getting offended, when they would throw that question at me. But now, I just see it as an opportunity, to bring like a light to who I am and where I come from.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Last question, because we need to wrap up. Maybe 30 seconds per person.
Okay.
Where does your life go from here? Because you're getting close to graduation, you're getting close to a second degree, working on a second degree. Where does life go from here? Danilo, maybe.
Personally, I think as for now, after I graduate, I would like to work in the US for a few years. For me to get hands-on, be able to learn from experience and probably get some capital, to go back and start a business back in my country. I think my country needs me as much as I need my country.
And that's not a model, by the way, that every international student embraces. I mean, some people leave, they fall in love with certain creature comforts and, the fact that there's some good infrastructure in place, and they say, no, I'm not going back. Currently you have this kind of commitment that, I will have skills, and I would really like to contribute.
Yeah, but I would like to work, because for me getting the degree is not enough, I need to work a few years,
Experience.
5, 10 years maybe, and later on, move back to my country.
Okay, excellent. Paola.
Well, I'm not sure. Whenever I start with a dream, then that dream changes. So I started studying one thing, and then I moved to another, and then I moved to another. So right now, what I would love to do, and that's a dream that has stayed with me for a few years actually, is to become a translator. I would like to translate books. And I spoke briefly to the founder of a translation company in Little Rock, and no promises have been made or anything, but I told this person, I will call you when I graduate. So that may be a way for me to start working, but I'm not sure, because as I said, every time I have a dream, it changes.
And
So-
especially at your age, you were really allowed to.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Because
I
you
mean-
may find a great passion, and then the next week, an even greater one.
Yeah.
So
True.
flexibility is a good thing.
I mean, I wish I have the wealth to like maintain all my dreams and fulfill all of
Yeah.
them. But I guess at some point I will need to move from like just being a student, living on scholarships, and start like making my own money.
All EU citizens aren't wealthy? Sorry, no stereotypes. Nargilya.
I am not sure either, and that's why there are a lot of reasons as to why I love nursing. But one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about nursing is because it's not limited to one country, it's not limited to one place. I can practice and help people really whenever and wherever I want.
There are bodies and illness and wellness
Oh yeah,
around the world.
absolutely. I can see myself actually joining either, the Doctors Without Borders or the Save the Children, all those organizations, or even the Red Cross, and perhaps working with them. Again, now that we're young and beautiful, that's the time to do it, correct?
Yes. Awesome, awesome. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation, all too short. But I hope to connect with you maybe a little bit tomorrow at the conference or during one of the breaks, and we'll chat a little bit more.
Absolutely.
personally.
Looking forward to
Great.
it.
We really
yes.
hope to hear from you what
Yeah.
you have for us
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. But again, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
to
Yes,
be on the
thank
show.
you very
This has been
much.
wonderful. And to our viewers back home, stay tuned, because after a short break, we'll be coming back with the segment called What'd You Say? There's nothing I enjoy more in the morning than a good cup of joe. It starts my day off. What's that? What's a cup of joe? Sorry, I was using American slang there. A cup of joe is a cup of coffee. Americans have been calling coffee joe for many years. Where did this expression come from? Well, linguists aren't sure, but some of them think that this is a kind of shortening or corruption of the word Jamocha, which means coffee. Lots of companies use Joe in their coffee marketing. My local Speedway gas station will sell you a commuter mug with Joe printed on the side. When you stop for refills with that mug, you get a discount on your coffee purchase. Starbucks Coffee sponsors a morning talk show called Morning Joe. It features a political analyst named Joe Scarborough. Notice the letter O in the logo? It looks like a circular stain left by your coffee mug on the table. There's a coffee mug with Vice President Joe Biden's picture on it. Hey, Joe, nice mugshot. There's even a Michigan coffee shop called Cup of Joe. So now you're wondering, why is it spelled cuppa? That's because the word of in the expression cup of coffee isn't very important. It's only a preposition after all. So Americans just mumble that word and it sort of sounds like. So The next time your American coworkers invite you for a cup of joe, just say thanks and go along with them. Unless you're a tea drinker, then you can order a cup of tea. As we've discussed on previous shows, one difficult aspect of learning a second language is adapting to humor that involves plays on words. They're also called puns. The appropriate way to receive a pun when it is told is to pretend you didn't think it was funny. You may even stare at the pun teller or perhaps let out a groan. Oh. We don't want to give punsters credit for clever wordplay, but we usually end up smiling or sometimes even laughing. Here's a clever wordplay that most Americans would chuckle over. My question to you is, do you think this is funny? I went to buy some camouflage trousers the other day, but I couldn't find any. Did this make you laugh? This joke involves an English idiom. If you didn't get it, check out our What's So Funny webpage for the explanation.